I was pretty fine with the limited socialization.
Handling social distancing during pregnancy, I think was just is it was hard.
Some of the simple things like just being able to shake somebody's hand, that was a challenge. Knowing that we had to just keep that distance from other people because at this time it was at an all-time high. We were just finding people around us, their family members were catching it. So, as she said before, we were just taking that very seriously. And then, as far as just working with your children through all of this, it does take a village. Not being able to get help from sitters, us being at home, the family all together. I work from home normally, so that was an adjustment even for me, just getting used to everyone being at home all at once. She's working, the kids they're doing e-learning, so we had a good support system as far as things that we've done virtually that we implemented with the kids' education. They're in tutoring 2 times a week. And so it's just been great just seeing that adjustment and just seeing how they adjusted as well.
Our schedule had to change. So not just having a newborn home, how do we have to make sure that the educational needs of our 3-year-old and our 6-year-old still being met at the same time? So we had to figure out who was going to work. Okay, so is someone going to get up early in the morning and work while the kids sleep? And then who's going to do breakfast? And then who's going to do the 6-year-old Zoom class or Google Classroom? And then who's going to work with the 3-year-old to make sure he's still getting the things that he
Absolutely.
need? While, okay, well, I still have 5 meetings that I need to take via Teams meeting. And so it took a lot of coordination. So first thinking about, okay, we're gonna have to, making the decision to keep our child home was hard because we're like, we have a infant and he's a high risk. So how do we keep him at home, keep him safe? And knowing that we had a 3-year-old who touches everything and puts everything in his mouth increases the risk of him getting it potentially. So it wouldn't been fair to send the oldest one and the 3-year-old was home. So we had to make a lot of trade-offs to think about how the
Right.
education was going to look. And I would say right now they're thriving. We're making it work. We're making adjustments, still keeping them at home through their school systems, and really. But we had to make an adjustment, like he said, like get tutoring, get additional support to help with that education of the older children. Major changes that we've made since being parents in a pandemic, I think, is really limiting the engagement that we have with others. So we'll think about stay really close with our family, but outside of that, we'll go to some events, but mask on, really talking about physical distancing, making sure we're washing our hands when we come back home, limiting the exposure of individuals that we have around the baby. So we really, we might be invited to a party, but it might just be one parent and one child that goes. So we have just drastically changed how we've engaged. We haven't put our kids back into sports yet. We're thinking about that, or recreational activities. We'll see. I think right now we're just trying to make sure that we keep our children safe
Absolutely.
and our family safe. So we're just taking those precautions. So I really think that the pandemic has changed our outlook on how we're parenting, even how we're communicating with our kids. In light of that, I would say that we've spent a great amount of family time together,
Right.
and we've
Right.
our bond has gotten stronger. We've been able to really hone in on some values that mean a lot to us.
Right.
So, given that we're in this situation, we've been able to think about what are some positive aspects that we can continue to talk to our kids about, and how we communicate with them during this time.
We walk out the door, everyone is wearing masks, and or we've been in some cases where people haven't been wearing masks when they should. So
Yeah.
definitely, that's been a big adjustment. Is just getting used to that, and just even knowing our own kids how they are. Just being able to tolerate wearing a mask all day, that kind of led to our decision on just making sure we do homeschool because between a 6-year old and a 3-year old, them wearing a mask 8 hours a day, we just knew already like homeschool was the way to go. for us, and just seeing that how well they're thriving. With our 6-year-old, we're just seeing, I mean, major adjustments with him. Like he's being a little bit more independent now. He's more responsible.
Yep.
Well, definitely a major change that I've had since the pandemic is homeschooling. So, a lot of my time is being consumed with homeschooling where it wasn't before. And wearing masks when we go outside. That's a little irritating because you get out the car, you walk up to the door, and you're like, dang it, forgot my mask. Then you have to turn back around. You go get your mask and then go in. Or decide, forget it, it's not that important, I'm going home.
Or you forgot it at home.
Right, or you forgot it at home. So, doing a lot of Zoom videos, conference calls, like everything is through Zoom now, which hasn't really been bad because I took a few trainings through Zoom and probably otherwise wouldn't have been able to do those trainings so soon, but so that's awesome.
I would probably piggyback off of that. I do a lot of work through Zoom. And I work from home a lot already. But as far as with the pandemic and the parenting, I would probably just kind of piggyback off of you and just kind of say the mask. I mean, obviously understanding the importance of them, but just that alone is basically, it's not just, girls, have you gone to the bathroom? Have you done this? Have you that? Do you have your mask? Because we don't want to drive back home. Because if we drive back home, we probably won't drive back out. We probably just stay home, try again tomorrow. So it's just kind of like those different things that, and then it's gotten to the point where now you have to have your mask in the store. And so, you really need to make sure that that's part of your checklist, leaving the house, and different things that are changing like that. And like my wife says, for us, it's just kind of been more of an annoyance. Understanding the importance, but still just a personal feeling towards it. It's just kind of been more like, oh man, so yeah. Outside of this new norm, I don't really see, especially at the age of an infant, anything really affecting her that I guess you could say is going to be overbearing or overwhelming or anything like that. Because I mean, other than like, and the mask don't affect her, she doesn't have to wear one, different things like that. The only thing that would affect her is our schedule, and so whatever affects us is going to trickle down and affect her. And so it's those type of things that affect us as parents, and then we'll see how that affects her.
I think it was just that. It was just an adjustment. Just moving responsibilities around. I don't think that it was too overwhelming. I think that everyone's having different experiences, but as far as the pandemic and my experience or our experience, we've been, pretty fortunate. So, it's just been a little bit of adjusting and moving some things around. But it hasn't been anything too strenuous or stressful or anything like that. And so we bless God.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your faith and continue to look to God, from which comes your help.